right, this video is about parallel and perpendicular lines. So we'll start with parallel lines first. So here we have a line. Now how do I know this is a line? A line is going on forever. So that's indicated by the arrowheads on each end of it. Here we have what's called a line segment. So a line segment is a piece or a chunk out of a line. Okay, so it has a definite start and end point, Okay, so it's a definite length, where a line has no definite length. For example, this one is 6 centimeters long. Okay, where a line, you wouldn't measure what the line is because it's, by those symbols, it's saying it goes on forever. So what do we want to do is we want to do parallel. Now what parallel means is when lines are parallel, the distance between them, so the distance between this line, is going to be the same throughout. In other words, these two lines, if they extended on forever, this line and this line segment, if they went forever, let's say we switch that to a line, from a line segment. So those lines go on forever. If they are parallel, they will never intersect or touch. So that distance that's between them will be exactly the same forever. So you think of a real life situation where that occurs, train tracks would be one. Lots of times, say, cinder blocks in schools, okay, hardwood floors, you have lots of the straight lines, or the hardwood pieces are the same width all along, so those lines would never come into a point and touch. So now how do we check and see if I'm given lines and then say we want to know if they're parallel? Well, it's fairly simple. You take a ruler and you're going to measure between the two lines at least in two spots. So here I'm going to measure, and it's going to be 1.567. So it's 1.7 right here. Let's try down here. What is it? Now I did just freehand these, so it'll be shocking if they're actually the same. So this was 1.567. Okay, that's weird, but way to go. Okay, so this one actually is parallel. So it's 1.7 apart. So now how do we label so that others know? We don't have to put our measurements on there. There's a label you can do. And the way that is, we put these arrowheads right in the middle here. Now, they don't have to be exactly in the middle. There's arrowheads indicating whichever line I see that has that arrowhead on it is parallel to each other. Now, let's say I want to add another line that's parallel. So this part's fairly easy. Here's how I like to do it. I put my ruler right on one of the lines, and then my ruler, each edge is perfectly parallel. So then I just take and I draw another line on the other side. Okay, and now that's a parallel line. And even if we want to measure between those, 3 centimeters, and we look down here, 3 centimeters. Okay, so then I can add, this one is also parallel to this one. Okay, the distance between that's going to be the same, 1.3, 1.3, and the distance between this one and this one. So all those are the same, meaning that all three of these, as they continued out, they would never intersect or touch. So they are parallel. Let's try that again. So this one again. So I've got a line here, and I want to draw a parallel line to it. So again, I can do it the easy way, is I can take this here, put my ruler perfectly on that line, and I can draw a line here. Now you'll notice that these lines are parallel to each other, but the length of them does not matter. So the parallel has nothing to do with the length of the line. It has to do between the space, the distances between the lines. So again, if I look at this one, it's going to be 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters. At any point, it's going to be 3 centimeters too, so that means they are parallel. Now, because we don't know if they're parallel to these ones, we do want to differentiate between these and these. So if you're doing these over here, another thing we could do in another set, you would put a second arrow. So now we know that the two that are parallel, these ones are a group, they're all parallel to that. These two are parallel to. All right, so here's another one. So let's draw one like here. Okay, that's not parallel to any of these. If this continued, it would hit this. If it continued up here, and these continue this way, they would intersect up over here. So these are not parallel to that. But I can draw another line parallel to this one. So I'll put that ruler on there, and then I will draw a line right there. So there's another line. Okay, and this one's parallel. We're gonna put 3 on it this time, so that we really know that we're not saying it's parallel to these when we look at it. So that's how you draw parallel lines. So you're gonna see them, they're labeled like this. And now let's say that you were questioned, someone drew this and labeled it as parallel. Are they? Simplest way, take your ruler, measure between them. How many times again? Minimum of 2 to make sure. Oh, it's 3 and it's 3. So these are parallel to each other. Now we're going to talk about lines that do intersect. Those are perpendicular lines if they intersect at 90 degrees. So here we've got some line segments drawn, and we want to draw a perpendicular line. Now we just wanted to intersect at any point on here. How do we find if it's going to intersect at 90 degrees? Well, I would use my protractor. So I like to start with a little mark where I'm going to put the line. Okay, I'm going to put it there. So that's for the vertex, you would say. Okay, and then I'm going to get this flat on the bottom, and then I'm going to mark it at 90 degrees. I will then take my protractor, turn it to the side. Of course, you could just use your ruler for this if you wanted to. Okay, and then my line comes through. So I can put that there. Let's say that's there. Now, how do we label this? So this is a right angle, 90 degrees, and we use the right angle box, and we just put that box there. So we're saying this line and this line intersect at 90 degrees, or this line is perpendicular to this line. Let's try it once again. Let's put a spot over here. I'm going to put my protractor right on there. I will make the mark at 90 degrees. I will bring it down. Just bring it down. Put that line through there. Okay, I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to mark that with my 90 degrees. So once again, here's two lines intersecting at 90 degrees, so I label it with the right angle box. All right, one more. These are fairly straightforward. Use that line, go here, and then I'm going to draw that line through there. Mark it again, and mark with the right angle box. There we have it. That's drawing perpendicular lines. When we're drawing line segments, often we are asked to label those line segments. So let's say we're asked to draw a 8 centimeter line segment labeled EF. So on the space provided, I would draw a line segment. So usually I could just start with a dot, put that on my 0 so I know that's the beginning, draw to 8 centimeters where it ends, and there's another little dot there. And it wanted me to label it EF. So this is line segment EF. Now let's say I was going to draw parallel lines to that. Again, my method using the ruler up against that line, and it's easy just to draw a line here. And let's say I wanted this one to be GH. GH. Okay, and these are parallel to each other. So again, how would I label their parallel? With these marks in the middle. Here we have another line. I want to draw a perpendicular line to ST labeled UV. So I'll pick a spot here. So I'll use my protractor, put it on my little mark, mark it at 90, and then I can draw that line through. I can just use the edge of my protractor if I wish. Okay, and I was supposed to use this one. I'm going to do it a little shorter because I was supposed to label it UV. Now, how do I label this now? To show that it's perpendicular, I put the 90-degree box there, the right angle box. So again, if I was to read this line here, this is line EF. Line segment GH is parallel to that because of these. This is line segment ST. And then this line is perpendicular to ST. UV is perpendicular because of the 90-degree box.